Dichen, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'm so excited to dive into the world of Severance with you. It's been a little over a month since the season finale for season two, and it just broke my heart by putting Gemma through such an insanely emotional roller coaster. And it's such an incredibly well thought out finale. And so I'm curious for you, when you were first mapping out the character and your interpretation in season one, how much did you know about Gemma initially? And did you have any kind of inklings early on about what her season two journey would look like?
I did not know about where they were going to go in season two. I had absolutely no idea. And in terms of what was on the page, all I knew of Gemma was what the other characters um, spoke of. So I just sort of built out from that in terms of, I think it's episode 8 where Audi Mark is piecing together the photograph of his wife. Is that episode 8? And then also Devon and Rickon's minimal sort of recollection and the way they spoke about her. From that I got this sort of this warmth about her and earthiness, and that's all I had.
Yeah, and it's not that much to go by.
No, not really. But also, when you
And
make a TV show, when
yeah.
you're doing season one, you never know if you're going to be fortunate enough to get a chance to explore further down the line. And it's sort of this big unknown. And so you just have to deal with what you know at the time and have it in the back of your mind and just deal with what's in front of you.
And speaking more to kind of having that work on the back end, because we get to know you primarily as Miss Casey throughout season one, I was curious to know when you are locked into playing that any version, how much of Gemma kind of spills in. I wanted to know, how do you go about kind of navigating, I suppose, which bits of Gemma to emphasize in particular moments.
I think the circumstances of the scenarios these innies find themselves in really inform what attributes, come through from the deep, subconscious mind that they don't have access to. And I saw it as, Gemma is an incredibly intelligent person, way more than me. And I felt like in the Miss Casey scenario, she had a job and she was given a directive, and so she was going to do it really well. And, obviously the innies are different, very
Mm.
different, the core person. But like you said, it's just certain elements of them come through in these situations. So the situation of Miss Casey is so clear. She's given these facts, she's given a directive, she's told what to do, and she takes it seriously.
Absolutely. And speaking to Miss Casey being one of several Gemma innies evokes a lot of questions, like why this particular version of her was brought onto the severed floor, for instance. Did you have a lot of moments, Deacon, where you would theorize about the character yourself, or was it more liberating to be in the unknown for as long as possible and just go along with the process?
The season one, I was really lucky to have all of the scripts before we started well, before I started filming. So directionally, I knew where it was going. And obviously, Cobell's role in season one, bringing them in together in the wellness center for observation was really interesting. And to have Mark mold a tree out of clay was
Mm.
also like an interesting clue to me moving into the piece, because there there are fragments of their Audi dormant in their subconscious mind. So I think it was extraordinarily helpful to have the whole season before I started, because then you can approach the work with so much more information, especially in something so bizarre and wacky.
And also, I guess there's a power to not knowing sometimes as well in terms of looking ahead. And because Gemma is such a fragmented character, when we are given more of her story, particularly in episode 7 of season 2, which absolutely I found so incredible and stunning, it's so impactful to the narrative, and also shows how grief in particular adds depth to the characters. And I was watching that and I just wanted to put all the pieces together and protect her at all costs.
Oh,
She's such a brilliant character, my favorite character on the show. And could you speak to your experience filming that particular episode 7 and peeling back the layers of Gemma and Mark's relationship?
oh, that's so kind of you. Yes, 7 was something that I didn't initially know when we went into season 2. I had no knowledge of where they were planning to go. But I had a conversation with Dan, and he said, "Listen, this is where you're really going to
Mm.
get to explore Gemma." And I had a conversation with Jessica, who did such a beautiful job. And I knew she would. I was actually really excited when I heard she was going to be directing it. We had a conversation, and then there was the strike, which was obviously out of our control. It's a long period of time where there was absolutely no communication, but I did have like a first draft. So I really got to sink into it and keep going back to it and try to, you know, really craft her journey through that. And then, of course, you get there on the day and you're trying lots of different things. And as an actor, I think for me, it's important to be as flexible as possible, because it's not just your vision. There are so many people involved in collaborating. But I found the experience really extraordinary. Adam was such a wonderful person to work with, as as an actor, and Jessica had such a vision for this episode. I really just like leaned into trying whatever she wanted to try. It was quite intensive, but what was remarkable and a gift is that we filmed that at the end of season 2, because we needed, the sun to be out and for
Mm.
the trees to have blossoms on them. So Adam and I got to spend a lot more time together filming episode 10 before we got to that point. And I think it helped deepen the connection and the relationship for them in that episode. It was a really wild experience and really intense, because obviously the range of emotions, she had to travel to through. But the way it was scheduled, it kind of leaned into it a little bit. We left all the location stuff until the end, and the whole
Mm.
vibe, the set changed because we were shooting on film, which
Yeah.
was so exciting to be, to have like a film mag and like run out of the role and start. It felt there was something precious about it and
Yeah.
finite, because it was obviously infinite. Um, except when the card runs out. But there's the way it captures the light, and the way I feel like when you're working with film, things they feel different,
Mm.
because every workflow is different.
Yeah, and I love what you said about the waiting for the sun to come up and the blossoms on the trees, because there is a warmth to so many fragments of that episode that you don't get in Lumen's basements, or, the cold, sterile rooms that are by design void of humanity. So I imagine that atmosphere must have created such an inspiring environment, particularly with it being Jessica's directorial debut. I imagine that added a lot of excitement in terms of discovering the possibilities of where that story could go visually.
Yeah, it was such a contrast to the world.
Yeah.
And um Je I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Jessica's idea to shoot the flashbacks on film and to not only everything we've already said, but to give it that extra texture. It is a stark contrast and it makes it so much more gut-wrenching. It was such a lot of pressure for me personally just in my craft and in, my life story to have that 1 hour to really try and get the audience as invested into this character as possible because the other characters have had a season and a half to really bond. Like the audience has like fallen in love with them all and bonded with them and either excited for them or angry for them. And there's all these like and on this show, it's like no other. It creates these sort of really strong feelings in people. And to only have such a short, brief time to be able to do that felt like, it was a lot, but an incredible team and incredible leadership, around me. So I was in a safe place.
Absolutely. And so much of that episode as well is such a testament to, I think, what the show overall does in terms of centering the humanity within a very, very heightened sci-fi landscape. And I think that because of that, we get these very grounded approaches to subjects like infertility, for example, and the work culture and, corporations becoming less and less human.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, speaking to the environment helping the character along, music plays a really interesting role, particularly in episode 7 and the finale with Gemma's character, the song I'll Be Seeing You. That's such a poignant melody. And I'm wondering, how did that song kind of evoke the emotion for you? And did music in general play a big role in terms of approaching scenes or setting the tone for a scene?
Absolutely. All the music is just so beautifully done. The score, Theodore is just like an absolute genius, and Ben also he is so engaged in terms of the music, and often not so much in 7, but when he was directing 10 or back in season 1 in the wellness center, he knew the music that he was going to use in that scene already. And
Mm.
so he used it at the beginning. He would play the music for us before we started to get us into that vibe. And it was so, no one had ever done that. But it makes so much sense because in a way, he's communicating to us like the tone and the pace and the energy of the scene. Which, I mean, he does obviously when he speaks to us as well, but it gets to you on a physical level.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, the music in 7 is just wonderful. I'm forgetting the name of the French song, but that in the montage is just like unbelievable. Jessica played it for us when we were dancing in the sunroom.
Mm.
Um, we didn't have it in the on the severed floor. I don't think, but it's just so beautifully placed, and so maybe they are hiding messages in it. I'm not sure. I never ask about that, but it is wonderful.
And speaking more to, the hidden messages and the possibility of those messages, looking ahead, have Dan and Ben filled you in on potential storylines for season 3? And is that a level of knowledge that you want to have beforehand, or is it more exciting to discover her fate as you go?
Yeah, no, they haven't, but like you said, I'm leaning into just being excited now that we officially have like a pickup.
Mm.
I'm leaning into being excited about just finding out like where they've decided to take it. Dan is so brilliant, and him and Ben together with I'm sure their writing team. I just have so much faith in them, and also it's when you don't really have a choice, you just kind of have to trust the universe.
Just trust the process.
Trust the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Dichen, this has been such a pleasure. My time has run out. I This was such a dream to get to talk to you. Your performance on this show is absolutely remarkable, and I love your character so much. I love the layers that you bring out to this character, and I hope that you know how much love you're getting in general as well. And it's just
Oh,
such an honor to speak to you.
that is so touching. You don't often get when you're doing film or TV, you're not always fortunate enough to get feedback, even though
Hmm.
you can get it online, but sometimes that's a dangerous place to go because
Yeah.
be negative stuff too. But it means a lot because everybody worked so tirelessly and gave so much commitment and have also made huge sacrifices to create this thing.
Mm.
And on a personal note, I really, really appreciate it. It means so much.
Absolutely. And Deechin, congratulations again on this incredible show. And thank you for the work that you put into it. Thank you so much for being here as well.
Thank you. And I don't know what time of day it is for you, but I hope you have an amazing day and that we get to speak again.
Thank you so much. And I hope so as well. I hope to chat again soon.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.